that's been a game changer for me. Like, Andy Case is the one that brought it up to me, and like Andy's like Mr. Outdoorsman, like, you know, like all like hunting, all this kind of stuff. So for him to like go in on it, I was like, interesting. So let me check this out. So I watched the documentary, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. So I ordered some of the grounding mats, and the grounding mats came with the updated novel that these group of 3 doctors have written and compiled all this information in, and that's what I'm working my way through right now. And I'm like, dude, this is like mind-blowing shit. Like, we've basically throughout, like, as Western society has progressed, we've removed ourselves from the earth. Like, our houses like have groundbreaking floors, like we're elevated beds, and our shoes got thick rubber soles, like so we're basically almost never touching the ground, and it's like a giant grounded negative energy field that like is constantly being replenished through like lightning and the like the molten core of the earth and stuff, and it's pretty mind-blowing. I had to do a bunch of housework for Jen yesterday. I did the whole thing outside with my shoes off, and the whole time I'm out there, like, my knee pain's gone. Like, it's crazy. It's really wild.
Yeah, I've heard that's the minimal research I've done since we talked about that. Just the stories of the aches and pains and inflammation just totally vanishing. You had mentioned a grounding mat. What is a grounding mat?
So a grounding mat is what it so they've developed this thing. I don't know what the mat material's made out of, but it basically has like a snap button. Like a button you put like, I don't know, you can snap your pants or something like that.
Yeah.
It snaps on and it plugs into your electrical outlet, but only to the grounded one. It doesn't plug the 2 top ones that actually draw electrical current. Those ones are just like blocked out with plastic little things like a safeguard thing. And then it just plugs into the grounded one. So it's just getting the ground current up to the mat. And then you can just sleep on it, put your feet on it, whatever. And it kind of replenishes you with electrons, if you will.
Yeah. As I was diving into it, a lot of the videos that came across were basically like, how do I talk about grounding without sounding woo-woo or whatever that is? And I think the conclusion I've come to is like, you can't, and that's okay.
I know.
And it's okay. There's going to be people who are like, feet on the ground, like that's such bullshit. That's such like new age, like hippie bullshit. But it's like, if you don't want to look into it, don't. I'm not here to convince you, but I opened my eyes to it, and like it's definitely something that I'm gonna be more intentional about, at least with like the walking barefoot outside.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like I've like, kind of just been trying to be more open to things that I would normally be turned off to, and I'm like, this is kind of helping me be like a better person. So I'm just gonna keep being open to suggestions and try things out. If they work for me, they work for me. If they don't, they don't. You know?
Right. I guess I'm the same way. I try to be open-minded to everything. And I don't remember if it was me and you talking about it, but like, I am such a sucker for all this stuff. Like, I got a cabinet in there full of like every fucking supplement under the sun. Cause at one point or another, I've heard Huberman talk about it, or Dr. Eric Berg or Dr. Mark Hyman or whatever. And I just try everything. It's like some things make me feel 2% more calm throughout the day. And maybe it's confirmation bias in my own. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I could be kind of a psycho. I could pull back. But I also have this thing where like, if it goes too far, I'm like, no. Like this one guy was talking, most of his videos, I'm like, oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And then he comes out with this. He goes, never touch a receipt. When you're at the store, never touch a receipt because there's a carbonated flubber paper
like,
in
all
it.
right, guy.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna never touch a receipt again, you fucking moron. I was like, so I have my limits too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Totally.
So I guess for that reason, I notice when we laugh a lot, and I notice when we laugh, we kind of peak the mic.
Yeah,
so
we definitely do.
Yeah, so that would be a pretty good transition into you coming back on and doing another challenge.
Yeah.
The first 40-day challenge was.
The first 40-day challenge was Twitter, was not doing Twitter for 40 days, which after watching a bunch of your episodes, I felt like an idiot because I'm like, all these other people are doing stuff that are significantly more challenging than what I did. One dude did like 20 things at once. I was like, geez, that's ambitious. No, but that was eye-opening, the no Twitter thing for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I did it, even though it was silly in retrospect. But
to be fair, the guy that did, I'm not throwing shade. This is like breaking news for anyone who is waiting for his return episode. I don't think there's going to be one.
No?
I don't know what the deal was. I was texting him. I had him booked to come back on. He said, let's push it back a little bit. I haven't really been able to do it. And then we had another date scheduled, and he said, let's push it back. I haven't been able to do it. And then eventually I just like, well, let's drop the whole challenge thing. Just come back on. We'll talk about stuff. We have a lot in common. We talk about stuff. And so we had it booked. And then like the morning of, I texted him like, hey, doors open, come in whenever. And he just like 15 minutes later after he was just like, oh, sorry, man, I'm just waking up now. Can we do it then? And I'm like, I don't exactly have the time at this point. So I had to like kind of just call it and sorry, bro. Yeah. No hard feelings whatsoever.
Yeah.
Cause I know he was going through some stuff, but yeah. So, that's, biting off more than you can chew.
I was just going to say. That did seem ambitious, all the stuff that he wanted to do. That and the other dude that wanted to do 40 push-ups, or was it 40 or 50 push-ups a day? Was it 100?
100, yeah.
It was 100. I was like, there's no way I could do that every day.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
Yeah, he did it.
He did it.
Break them up.
Wow.
If you break them up and, say for starters, you do 15 in a row. You do 15 in a row when you wake up and then an hour later. And that's kind of how he broke them up. And then he did a bodyweight squat challenge too that he said was a lot easier than the push-ups.
Oh, I bet that for sure. I struggle with push-ups. I separated my shoulder when I was in my 20s, so I don't know if that plays into. I don't feel a lot of pain there, but push-ups are a struggle for me. I get to 10 and I'm like, ugh, I'm fighting right now.
yeah. Right here, not here. Here so much.
Right here.
Nope, ship shape.
Yeah, no, but for the one that I'm doing this time now, it is Stillness. So I was going to do just straight up meditation for 40 days. And then I'm trying to like pay attention and follow synchronicities when they happen. Like, you and I had talked and I was like, let me mull it over for the night. And then Jen and I, my girlfriend likes watching that Andrew Huberman's podcast. And I don't watch it every time, but I'll tune into some of them with her. And he had on the dude, I forget his exact name, but they made the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer about him.
Josh Wizelnack or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Butchering the last name, but it's Josh something.
And it was just a really fascinating conversation. I mean, the guy is a freaking genius, and he has like a really interesting way of thinking about everything. And somewhere in their conversation, they started talking about stillness, and Huberman started talking about how he's been, hanging out with Rick Rubin and stuff more, and how Rick Rubin practices stillness, not necessarily meditation, but like an allotted amount of time where you actually let your brain just run wherever it wants to, but you're not doing anything. You're not engaging with anything else. You're just engaging with just your brain. And so I think I'm going to try to do 30 minutes of stillness every day for my 40-day challenge for this one, because that is like the hardest thing for me. I'm ADHD as shit. I am like constantly running around, bouncing around. So like the practice of slowing down and like becoming more still has been like something that I want to like implement into my life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I like that synchronicity. Like you hear something, because we were trying to dial it in, and you hear something and it's like, yeah, that seems to make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those little just waves from the universe can kind of pop up out of nowhere. And yeah, I've found the more I can follow those and just, let go and just kind of do do the next right thing, it works. But so with your stillness, do you have like in mind, like are you setting aside a specific time per day? Like you think in the morning, at night?
I think I'm going to do it in the morning because and this is something from listening to your other podcasts, I don't know if we specifically spoke about it, but I also am doing the Artist's Way. Mm-hmm. So I'm like 6 weeks into the Artist's Way. And so the morning pages is something I've been doing for 6 weeks now. And so I think I'm going to like block those together. So like I'll probably do like right when I wake up, I'll probably do the 30 minutes of stillness first and then get into my pages afterwards, because then I can, write about whatever my brain was just going through or whatever. So I think I'm going to dedicate it to in the morning time when I first wake up and, I haven't been intruded by the world's news and everything else going on yet. So I think the morning time would be the best one for me.
Yeah, I agree. I try to get it as much in as I can before the chaos of the day ensues. The Artist's Way, that's a good read.
It really is.
It's a good program. Are you finding anything profound or anything, because synchronicity is a topic they talk about
Big
in that
time.
book too. Are you finding any just kind of changes in the creative process or life process in general?
Definitely. I think those morning pages are like something I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like it really, I feel like for me has eliminated a lot of stress and anxiety out of my life. Just doing that in the morning. Like, I don't know if it unblocks creativity or if it helps you sort out whatever you thought was going on. So a lot of the times I find whatever's like frustrating me when I get to writing it out, it ends up being like a lot sillier than like I actually like was making it in my head. And I'm like, that just kind of helped me realize that. So I like that. And I also find it weird that like, you know how like there's the little blurb on the right, it'll tell you like basically what you're going to go through in that week of following the thing. It's pretty spot on, man. I'm like, wow, that's actually like exactly like I was thinking about finances big time this week, and now it's talking about how like abundance and finances and letting your creativity like bring you there, not to, like staying in the now and not focusing on future finances and all that struggles and all that shit. And so yeah, I really I'm liking the Artist's Way for sure.
Yeah, and for anyone listening that's wondering what we're talking about, it's a book, but it's also like a 12-week program. And the idea is it's by a woman named Julia Cameron, I believe. Actually, she was formerly married to Martin Scorsese.
She was?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
She mentions him in passing in the book. She doesn't mention him by name, but she said, my former husband was a big-time film director.
Wow,
yeah,
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah, so it's basically a 12-week program where you read a chapter a week and you do the activities, and two of the recurring activities. Number one are the morning pages you're talking about, where as soon as you wake up, like as quickly into your day as you can, you just write stream of conscious 3 pages in a notebook. It's got to be by hand, but that's really the only rules. Like you could write literally, I don't want to do this for 3 straight pages, which I've come close to before.
Yeah.
I just wake up groggy and just like, I don't want to do this. But it's this thing I did years and years ago, but I just picked it back up, I think this past like September. And I'm not reading it currently. I did the 12 weeks, but I'm still doing the morning pages. So that's one thing you do every day. And then another thing you do every week is the artist date.
Yeah.
Are you doing those by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
So usually my artist dates are not that like grandiose, or I'm not doing anything like, I'm not really going out and doing much or anything. My artist dates usually consist of a long walk by myself with headphones. I love just getting out like in nature and listening to a podcast or listening to an album and not having to speak to anyone else for like an hour or so, like that's my artist date for the most part. So that's what I've been sticking to. The other one that I've done is taking myself to the record store and just like browse through some crates and do some crate digging. That I kind of find therapeutic as well. So that's definitely the two. But now I'm into like, there's so every once in a while I'm like finding myself being like kind of like an a-hole about it. I'm like, oh man, I don't feel like doing that shit. Like I got to collect 5 rocks this week and 5 flowers from outside. Like I don't want to do that. But I'm trying to like also be like, all right, just do it. Just do it. Like,
Right. And I think personally, just what I did, I think at the end of the chapter, there's usually 15 either questions or assignments. I usually did about half of that.
Yeah.
Just being so busy. I did about half of them. Got a lot out of most of them. But then there's one thing in the 12 weeks that I just refused to do, and it was no reading. I don't know what
that
week
was a weird one.
Yeah, it said no reading, and I'm like, I think I got what she was going for. Like, reading can be a distraction. Reading can be like avoidance.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I read for maybe like 10 to 15 minutes before bed because it helps me sleep.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to give up reading. I got to read for my job. So that was the only one where I'm like, I kind of get where you're coming from, but I didn't follow that one.
I was also trying to like remind myself that book was written in 1992. And so like much before we have our phones in our faces every single day. So the non-reading thing was tough. I did like use that week to not do like social media activities. Like I was like, I'm still going to like read some books and stuff. I don't really find that reading other material hinders my creativity at all. Like I didn't feel that way. Did you? Like,
no, not at all. I didn't. So yeah, that was when I just kind of, I just gave a polite, polite wave, like it's good suggestion. What I think I did end up doing is I think I reduced my screen time a bit,
Yeah.
just rather than going to the phone just out of boredom. I just was diligent to not do it that week. I thought that was kind of an
Yeah.
equivalent. But I guess that's a good transition back into the stillness thing, because what I have been doing, it ebbs and flows for me. I've gone through like long periods where like I feel like I was very diligent about the stillness and quiet thing. Lately, what I've been doing is usually in the morning I'll work out downstairs, and then I have this like sauna, this like tent sauna.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've
it's
seen
great.
those. Yeah.
It's great. It's it fits two grown people if you wanted to. I usually it's just me in there by myself, but I'm usually in there. Goes up to like 110 or 120, so hot enough to get like a really good sweat after a while. But usually I'll go in there and I'll podcast while I'm there, or I'll listen to a podcast while I'm in there. But I've been very diligent the last 10 to 15 minutes to shut off everything,
Mm-hmm.
shut off the phone or shut off the sauna so I can kind of come back to like a room temperature and just like do exactly that. Like let my brain wander, because I think my tendency is to distract all the time, because it's like just sitting here by myself is boring.
That's how
There's
I am.
so much entertainment on here. I could play a game, I could listen to a podcast, I could read up on something, but just letting my brain,
Yep,
just letting it think thoughts, and if it goes off crazy, if it's still cool, but just letting it do its thing.
Yeah, and that was something that they talked about in that Huberman with the dude, the chess player dude, where he was talking about, just start small. He was like, go to the bathroom and don't take your phone, or like do small like increments. And Huberman was talking about how we take so much information in constantly that we don't even like give ourselves enough time to process any of it, because we're just feeding it new stuff constantly.
Yeah, I'm totally guilty of that. It just I don't do like I feel like I got pretty good at like removing the social medias, but it hasn't really moved the needle much on screen time. Like I'll find something
Oh,
to
yeah.
do on there. I'll browse YouTube, or I'll just go on the news app for no reason. Never find anything good on there. Or I'll just, one that I need to fucking get off my phone is LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is the dumbest app. It's like social media beyond, because my take is like, you think people are like kind of faking it on social media? Well, it's like times 20 on LinkedIn, because it's like the dumbest
I think I had to
thing.
make a LinkedIn when I went to Specs Howard for digital media arts, and
Yeah.
I think we had to make like that was like part of like the introductory class was making a LinkedIn page, and that was like the one and only time I've ever like looked at my LinkedIn page. Like,
Yeah.
I never. I was trying to. At that point, I was trying to get rid of social medias and not add more. And it feels like there's always new ones. I don't participate in TikTok at all. Do you?
So I created a TikTok for this channel. I figure I'm posting all these shorts on YouTube
Yeah.
anyways. I'm taking the time to edit. Why not like try to tap into a different thing? So I go on there, but actually at TikTok, I'm pretty good at just the post and ghost. Like I'll post
That's
a video and then I won't look at it again until I post the next video.
Yeah.
And just try not to let the shorts go to waste. But that's really I don't
Yeah, I
follow
get that.
anybody or anything on there.
That's kind of what I've done with my Instagram page is I don't like scroll or browse Instagram. I usually just post my YouTube stuff to my stories, so whoever pays attention to that can go over there. Plus, it's cool because in the stories now you can like put your direct link to the thing, so you can just click it right there and
Right.
makes it easier. But it's fun doing that that YouTube channel stuff.
Yeah, it is.
It's a learning game for sure.
Gosh, it's fun. It's a fun like hobby, I feel like, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like with the artist way, like creativity is just good for the soul. Bottom line, like no
Yep.
matter who you are, creativity is good for the soul. So I feel like that is kind of like call it a spiritual practice,
Dude, I was just gonna say, like, it literally has definitely brought me closer to spirituality. Like over the last 15 years, and mostly in like the worst of the disease years of my drinking, spirituality was gone, like completely gone. I was an atheist, totally like not tapped into the universe or spirituality. Was living very selfishly and letting my ego run rampant and. I feel like doing the morning pages has kind of brought me closer to spirituality. Like I've actually even been like praying in my morning pages, which is something I'm still not like a big organized religion guy, but like I'm like more tapped into the universe as like we're all like this one big, breathing, interconnected thing. So, when I'm praying, I'm mostly praying to the universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just trying to send some energy fields out there, like I feel like that. I mean, I feel like it just like no matter like what you actually believe in, like if you believe there's a man upstairs or not, like just that practice is like good for your mind. Like it just does good things for your day. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's hard to explain, I guess.
Yeah, no, I got to piggyback. I got a few thoughts running around in my head. Well, first of all, the prayer thing. I pray only. Uh, so I pray in a particular way. In the morning, I just do a quick thing and I say, God, and you could replace that with universe, whatever, universal consciousness,
Yeah.
nature, whatever your thing is that's outside of yourself. I say, God, please just help me stay sober today. Help me get out of my own way. Please help relieve me of the bondage of self. Help me think about others and help me remove like defects of character that I have that get in my way of being of service. So that's basically it. And that's all 12-step stuff. And then at the end of the day, I say, thank you for helping me stay sober, and then I'll shoot off some good thoughts to people that I care for, people that I don't care for too much. Just try to shoot off some good thoughts. Yeah. But I will say, here's one thing that I've felt recently about prayer that I never really experienced before, and you're included in this. But, it's no secret if you're a regular listener to this podcast, you're a friend of mine. We've been going through struggles with my son. And I found that the more I've like talked about it and kind of aired it out, the more that people have just kind of rallied and they'll let me know. They'll be like, I'm praying for you. And there's something about praying for people, but telling them that you're praying for them that actually makes it easier for that person. It's like whatever struggle they're going through, if you're praying for somebody, also be sure to tell them that you're praying for them, because it does something that, like, for me, it just feels like the bags that I'm carrying feel a little lighter.
Yeah.
A little lighter. And I'm sure that there's a scientist out there that could be like, oh, well, that's just the oxytocin being released in your prefrontal cortex.
Yeah,
and
for
blah,
sure.
blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, maybe, but it's like a tangible thing that like just the power of prayer, whether you want to go science, here's the scientific explanation, or maybe there's something else going on. I choose to think like maybe a little bit of both are happening at the same time, but like that to me has been very profound. So I know you are, part of the army that's sending out prayers, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, man. Of course. Yeah. That definitely felt with everything that you're going on. I won't get into it obviously on here, but everything. But yeah, I'm going to keep doing it for you too, man. I've been praying I even pray for people I don't like and like people that I think, because the only thing that really separates us from I've been reading this book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Have you read that one?
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle like changed my life.
Man, I am feeling the same way. Like you realize that most people aren't bad people. They just have their ego in the driver's seat, and they haven't done any kind of self-examination or any inner work on themselves. You know what I mean? Like everybody is capable of bad and good. You know what I mean? It's like such a thin line, and like it really just takes work on yourself to, maintain the bad or the good, So I think that I've been trying to like remind myself of that and like be less judgmental of people that I find to be like egos running wild and stuff like that. So Eckhart Tolle, man. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. So Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morril and the Big Steppers, that album significantly helped me get sober. And for a long time, I thought that was a silly statement. Like, this rap album helped me get sober. But there's this podcast I listen to called Dissect Podcast, where each season he tackles one album. It doesn't. So he's done all of Kendrick's stuff, and the most recent season is on Mr. Morril and the Big Steppers, and he does the most incredible breakdowns you've ever seen. Every episode is about one song, so like it's a full hour about one song each week, and come to find out, Kendrick's Mr. Morril and the Big Steppers follows the teachings of Eckhart Tolle. Like it's like because I didn't know who Tolle was at the time, and like Tolle's throughout the album, he speaks in the album. Kendrick is constantly referencing him in it. There's video of them two like sitting and having conversations with each other that were like promo for the album, and all these things that I had just totally missed. And the way that Cole Kushner, the guy that does Dissect Podcast, breaks it all down, is like mind blowing. And so he brings up Tolley, and I'm watching it with Jen, my girlfriend, and she's like, I think that book is in my house. I'm like, what? Really? The
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity. And it was in her mom's bookshelf, and my girlfriend's mom passed away 5 years ago, so I never got to meet her. And it's marked up with all of these notes that she had left in it, all these highlighted passages. I'm like, not only am I getting a lot out of Tolley's words, but like I feel like I'm getting to know Jen's mom by reading it and like reading her notes in it and stuff. It's just really weird.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you brought up synchronicity. We're tapped into something right now. I usually have talking points in the background of the video, like off camera, and I usually don't let my guests look at them. But right now, look at this highlight. I highlighted Power of Now because it's his first book.
Yeah.
And that one changed my life too. I was going through the divorce with Riley, who's funny. You knew Riley. We, just reached a point where we just didn't have enough, oomph in our marriage. So we separated. It was hard, but it was fairly amicable in terms of, in the big picture. But I was going through a really hard time. I was pretty newly sober, and I had a friend just at a meeting that just plopped the book in my lap. So this was a great book, and I read it, but then I downloaded the audiobook, and I swear to God, for the 2 months after we separated, I will always look back at that time as like the most blissful 2 months of my entire life, because it just, I don't know what it was. And ever since then I've been trying to get back there, and I do periodically, I get glimpses of it, but when you are like fully present, it's a rare thing to actually feel it, but like present to the point where like your brain is like not thinking. You are just there. And I forget all the time that like I'm here. We are doing this podcast. We are talking. We have this whole personal history and have a billion things to be worried about in the future, or 10 minutes from now, or what I'm going to do tomorrow, or what this fucking guy said to me at work 3 days ago. But like none of that actually exists. All it is thought stories.
Yeah.
The only thing that actually exists is right now. And he does a fantastic job of like guiding the reader into experiencing presence, like feeling the just life in your hands and in your feet. That's usually the easiest part to feel, like being aware of your breath. And for me, another one is like, oddly enough, being aware of my posture. Like breath and posture are two things that like someone will mention them and I can't help but be like, oh, how's my breath? How's my posture? And then just like allowing things to just be. And sure, I have some say in, the circumstances of my life, but not as much as I'd like to think, So in that, it brought me to like the 4 most profound words that I still use on like a regular basis whenever life gets lifey. And that's let go of control. Because I have this tendency, and I don't know if it's because I have an alcoholic mind that like I can obsess. I think with that, I obsess a little bit over controlling, like arranging the pieces of my life. Like it's not enough for me just to be like the actor in the life. I have to be the director. I have to be the set designer. And as long as everything and everyone just stays put and does what I think they should do, then I'm good. But where I need help and where I struggle with and where I'm working on every single day is just like when things don't go the way I think they should, or when somebody does something that I specifically tell them not to, what's my reaction? Or I should say, what's my response? And, but it's just so funny you brought up Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, and another thing that he's helped me with too is like just realizing how often we're judgmental, but like also have like so much baggage ourselves. Like for you to judge someone else for you to judge someone else means that you're pretty much perfect, right? So it's, that's when ego, like, he talks about ego sneaking in the back door sometimes, and you don't even realize it when you're doing that. And you're like, now you're separating yourself from, the collective consciousness. And now it's more of like, you've put yourself in this position to judge, but you're not examining the things that I think a lot of it is projection. You know what I mean? Like, we project on to other people, like, the shit that we're, not happy with in ourselves, I guess, sometimes. And Toli's definitely helped me, like, slow down and think about that and realize that. And Power of Now is another one that we found in her bookshelf. So that's what I'm going to read after I finish this one. I guess I should have read that one first, since it's his first book, but
Okay.
I didn't know it at the time. But yeah, it's been wild. Toli's definitely great. I'm the Earthing book also, and then Artist's Way. Those are the three I'm reading right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm also reading a book that has nothing to do with any of, like, the wellness stuff, but just a general book recommendation. It's called Motown Burning.
Okay.
It's written by a dude named John Jeffries. He's local. I think he lives in Livonia currently, but he's from Detroit. And it's really, really well done. Each chapter, like, is from the perspective of a different character, and it takes you through, like, the Vietnam War, and then also when the riots in Detroit happened in '67. And it follows, like, a series of characters, like this one young teenage boy who gets drafted, and then, like, what life is like coming back to Detroit, and, like, how Detroit is basically like a war-torn area coming home from Vietnam. And it's just the characters that he writes, and, like, it's just all, like, really great stuff. Like, I'm reading this thing like, why have they not made a movie out of this, like, or a television series? Like, it would be so good. And so, yeah, I've been on my channel, I've been trying to promote Detroit stuff for the month of April. I'm, like, doing all Detroit related shit. So John Jeffries is one that I'm promoting today.
John Jeffries, Motown Burning.
Motown Burning, yep.
Nice.
Yeah, really good stuff.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
One question I had about the Stillness challenge.
Yeah.
If you could, well, I don't know if it's much of a question as it is like an ask. Throughout your process, throughout the next 40 days, and of course you'll come back on in 40 days, we'll talk about your experience. If you could jot things down, which could be easy because you got the morning pages going, but throughout the process, if you could, like, jot things down, like any insights or changes that you've noticed, or, like, I like to see like if there was, like, a situation that presents itself that, like, you react to in a different way than, like, you think you would have had you not done the Stillness, like, try to do that throughout the 40 days. I'd be very curious to talk about that when you come back.
I'm definitely finding that in, like this, like, spiritual practice that I've been going through, is my anger is definitely subsiding. And that could be partial to going to meetings too, because I've been going to AA meetings, like, once a week for the last few months now. I did, like, the first 2 years of my sobriety on my own. And then, I'm in the process of trying to get my license back and everything. And it's not required to go, but my lawyer was like, it would look good for the judge for when you do try to apply for your license. So why don't you go check it out? And I was like, you know what? I was apprehensive at first because, like, I hate being told what to do. Like, I always buck against authority. But I went, and I've realized that, like, the biggest benefit I get out of those AA meetings is, like, the community-based part of it. Because, like, I used to be such a social butterfly. My drinking, I'd be out 3 nights a week, every week. And then it went from that to, like, not doing any of that. So, like, just to have a place to go once a week and talk to like-minded individuals that have been through some of the similar stuff that you have has been helpful. So, yeah, I will do that with this stillness practice. I'll definitely write it because the anger thing, there's been a few situations recently, like E-Man and I set up for, like, a whole podcast, and then, like, we couldn't figure out this one camera. So we were literally setting up for hours, and then E-Man had to go somewhere, and, like, it was, like, all for nothing. Like, we couldn't get anything recorded that night. And, like, my reaction, like, in the moment was just, like, I was being, like, a curmudgeon, like, bitter a-hole. And then, like, 10 minutes after he left, I'm like, it does nothing for me to just hold this anger. It's just going to make us awkward. And I was like, I just texted him, like, right then. I was like, you know what, dude? It was a bad day. We'll get at it tomorrow, and things will go better. Like, recognizing that in the moment and not stewing over that for a day and a half, 2 days was like, that's a big change for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the anger, probably in the 12 steps, the most powerful thing I did throughout it. Step 4 is where you make a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself. And basically what it is, without actually having a piece of paper in front of me and like showing it on screen, it's hard to describe, but basically what you do is you take every resentment that you've ever had, put it down on paper, whether it's a person, place, or thing. You take every fear that you have, put it down on paper, and then you dissect some sex relations too. But most importantly, we're talking resentment. What you do is you put the person down on paper, parents, siblings, close friend, former boss, whatever. Put the name down, and then you write the cause. Why do I resent this person, place, or thing? Well, I resent my former boss because he made me stay late. He was a fucking asshole. He did this, he did that. And then you look at, what does it affect in me? That resentment, what does it affect in me? Is it my self-esteem, my sex relations, my pocketbook, my ambitions? Take a look at that. And then where it gets like really, really therapeutic and cathartic is when you look at your part in connection with the resentment, and you look at, where are you being selfish in this resentment? It's like, okay, I resent this person, but where am I being selfish? And then like the really juicy one, where am I being dishonest in this resentment? And it's like, every time I've had a resentment, it's followed the same pattern. Something will happen, I'll resent the person for it, but then I'll tell myself a story about why I resent the person. And then I'll tell myself that same story, but skewing it a little bit more in my favor and like making the blame less about me and more on the person. And then I keep telling myself over and over and over what happened, but I make myself, less guilty, and I make the other person more guilty. And I just keep doing that. And then I look at, where in that resentment am I being self-seeking? And then finally, where in that resentment is the fear? Like, what am I afraid of? Like, okay, so I resent a girlfriend who broke up with me. Well, the fear there isn't being broken up with. It's just like feeling like I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Feeling like I'll never be loved, those kind of things. And it's just like, and then so that process of not just examining resentments, but it really gives you the ability to like let go and like forgive, because it's very powerful. Like you were talking about the Eckhart Tolle thing, like here's my ego being very judgmental and critical of other people, but it's like, when I can put down on paper like what's going on in me when I'm carrying these resentments, I can be like, I'm not so innocent either. We're all just kind of doing our best for the most part, and sometimes we step on toes, or sometimes we get our toes stepped on, and I wish it could just be like that one incident where it's just like, oh, person stepped on my toes, never think about it ever again.
Yeah.
But it's like, over and over again. The gramophone record will play in my head, and I'll just.
Some of the enlightenment stuff that he covers in there, I'm like, well, I'm definitely never going to get to that place, where he was like talking about this example of like this guru or Buddhist monk, I can't remember who it was, somewhere like, this enlightened being that lived in this small town, and next door was this family with this young girl, and the young girl became pregnant, and she told her parents that she was pregnant by this guru guy. Well, it was a complete fabrication and a lie. Well, she had the baby. The parents bring the baby to him, say, you raised this child, you did this, and he basically just responded, oh, is that so? And raised the child for a year. Within a year, the daughter admitted that she lied and that it wasn't really him. And so they go back and they apologize to him. And he had taken care of this kid for a year. And when it was all said and done, his response was exactly the same. Oh, is that so? And gave the child back. And the important part was that the child was cared for, and that nothing, like, he didn't react one way or another to it. And I'm like, there's no way I would get to a place where I was so spiritually enlightened that someone would come to me and be like, you made this child with this little girl, take care of it.
Okay, I guess this is my life now.
I guess, okay.
This is what I do now. Except that's tough. You see that a lot in Buddhists, like non-attachment. Like, okay, I'm just not attached to any opinion about this whatsoever. Just taking care of this 1-year-old and this 6-month-old. God, yeah. One of them is I have a friend in the program who's like on a different level spiritually, but he says that like nobody has the power to make me happy, but nobody has the power to make me upset. Like if that happens, I'm allowing it and it's on me. And it's like, I hope to not only get to the place where I understand that, but to be able to experience that would be fantastic. Because people can piss me off all the time, but also people can make me happy. Like, I think, I guess I'm back and forth in that because it's like, I get the sentiment, but I mean, you see a good friend you haven't seen in a while and you go have fun. Like, that's kind of someone making you happy, right? Like, I don't know.
I know there is. I definitely, it's going to take some years of work, I think. But I don't know if it happened like that for you, but for me, after I quit drinking, I've got like this unquenchable like thirst to learn things. Like I found myself really fascinated by like world history and U.S. history and like all kinds of different weird things. Like I just love like learning about stuff. Like I just want to know more things.
Yeah, I get that a little bit. A lot of it's with the people we talk about, the Hubermans and the like the YouTube doctors or whatever who like I get that a lot where I just like I've dove into history a little bit, but for some reason I can't go all in. Like I'll watch like World War II documentary or something like that. I'll be like, that's pretty interesting, but I can't stick with it. I don't know what it is.
Like we were watching, like Jen and I watched the History Channel a lot, and we were watching this thing the other day about like the first like planes that were like available and how dangerous it was to be a pilot in those days, and how it was like basically they were designated for like mail carrying, like it was mail carrying planes. And like there was a greater percentage that you would not make the flight than that you would, and like so,
not survive.
Yeah, all these planes were crashing and all these pilots were dying, and I'm like, damn, what? They were just talking about this one brave guy that like made it through this crazy storm and got the mail across, and I was just like, wow, like what ambition this man had.
And when planes are that new, like how do you become a pilot? Like,
don't even
how
know.
do you know? You got to operate. You got this gear and these switches, and you got to tick tick tick. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But about the, I guess wrapping up the Stillness challenge, was there anything that we haven't touched on that you were hoping to touch on?
I think that's all I had with the Stillness thing. I think that was basically it. Did you want to touch on pet peeves, or was that something you wanted to do? Okay, that was the last thing that I had written down. I think that you had mentioned about bringing in. And the ones that I had today were just kind of basically silly ones.
Oh, good.
So for one, since this is a podcast and we talk about podcasts a lot, I hate how podcasts, when they have like bad ad reads, and it'll be like I listen to like daily podcasts, and like one show will have the same ad every commercial break, and it'll be for months. And so like that like digs into you and like claws at you, and like there's so many bad ad readers out there. It like drives me nuts. I'm like, why can't they get someone that like has a good speaking voice? Like not everyone has a good speaking voice. I don't know. That one's stupid.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. You know who I found? Like I don't listen to his podcast anymore, but Steve-O, actually, I thought when he started his podcast, he did a really good job of transitioning into his ad reads.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He would actually make you feel like he believes in the product and he uses it. I literally have a bidet in this other bathroom because really, it's so hard to take a shit anywhere else now. I don't like it. It just, if you're using toilet paper only, you are a Neanderthal and you need to just twist a knob, let the water squirt up your butt, clean it out, and then all you're using the toilet paper for is just to dry off a little bit. It's clean.
Yep.
And he goes, I think his ad read, and this is what convinced me, he goes, look, that's my Steve. Look, dude. He said, if you get peanut butter on like rubbed into your carpet, you don't just take a dry paper towel and rub it in. No, you got to get water and soak it up and to actually clean it. And it's just like kind of a gross analogy, but It made sense to me.
It
so
totally.
literally
I saw that exact same. I know exactly what you're talking about. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And then my second pet peeve. This is something that came to me in the shower today because of the bar of soap that I had in there. Why I don't understand the thought process behind what they think men want to smell in manly like cleaning products. Like, why is it always like bourbon or like sandalwood or like why can't it be like something like citrus or like why is it bourbon and sandalwood all the time or cedar or like what's up with all these wood scents?
Yeah. Well, you gotta get lumberjacks. You gotta get your timber. You gotta get your timber set 'cause that's what the ladies like. Yeah, that's funny. Gosh, I wish I could like riff off that and try to think of better ones, but bourbon and sandalwood were perfect. Yeah. I guess pet peeve like the bar of soap. When you are like running low, do you like get a new bar of soap and like morph them? Like do you put the little guy?
I think like accidentally I might because like when it's getting low, I think I just grab a new one and I'll like set it on top so they kind of will morph. I think you're right.
A little bar of soap, circle of life there you got. So I try that because it seems to make the most sense. But the little bar of soap, like always, it never sticks like how you think it would.
Yeah.
Like you're always, okay, I got a big bar of soap with the little tiny sliver bar of soap. I'm gonna wash with this whole thing, but then the little sliver bar of soap it always disconnects, and you'll find it like in a crevice somewhere.
And then it just ends up at the bottom with the shower drain, and I'm like, all right, it'll just stay there until it's gone.
Stop it! It's like a plug. It's like plugs it up, so this water isn't draining down anymore. Oh my god, that's so funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, I got actually a recommendation that kind of transfers into a peeve. Felt like, being generous and giving a small podcast a shout out. He's a new guy, but he's shows some promise. Joe Rogan, plug for Joe Rogan. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of him. Wanted to, boost him up. I got a platform here. Might as well help. But no, it was episode, I jotted down, 2295. The great part of this episode is that he talks for maybe 2% of it total.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy he had on is a guy named Scott Payne. And I would highly recommend this podcast episode. It was so entertaining. Scott Payne is like, I don't know if he's a former or still current FBI undercover agent.
Whoa.
And some of his stories about infiltrating like white supremacy groups, KKK.
Man, I definitely want to listen to this.
Oh, dude, and he infiltrated a biker gang.
Yeah.
And it was like a 2-year thing where he convinced them. Dude, he convinced them, and he had this whole plan set up where he was at a bar that they go to, and like he gave off a certain energy to make like them come to him and be like, hey, what's your story? He had this whole story, and I won't spoil it, but I would recommend going to listen to it because he tells a story about how like he was at like this big, I think it was in this giant warehouse, like a biker gang clubhouse. And he was trusted, but he wasn't technically a member yet. So he goes in this like big like drug thing, and they pull him down in the basement and ask him to like strip down naked, write down all his information. And they searched him for a wire, and he had a wire on him. And he details the whole story about like what happened. And it was like,
yeah, I'm definitely going to listen to that.
Yeah. And he's such a good storyteller. You feel like you're right there with him, and his ability to like make you feel right there and have you on the edge of your seat.
Dude.
Fantastic job.
I've watched, I haven't seen this obviously, and I'm going to for sure, but I've seen like similar things where I think it was like the guy that they based DiCaprio's character off in The Departed or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like a real life cop that was talking about being undercover and what that experience was like. I would fold so fast, man. Like, how do you not like have like a nervous energy like when you go into like a biker gang situation or like a white supremacy? I'd be shaking.
I know. But man, he actually tells about it. He's like in that scenario. He said he got this adrenaline dump that like it makes time slow down. It makes like your quads like basically collapse, like feel like jello, and like. They asked him to write down his name. He said he couldn't remember the middle name that he made up. So he had to like kind of stall and like ask questions, be like, wait, so what was and just like,
Whoa.
you have to be, I feel like as with like a Navy SEAL, like you have to have your training like beaten so
Yeah.
deep down into you to when you like, you can't function, you just automatically stall or come up with some kind of thing to,
Yeah.
whew,
That's hilarious.
crazy.
That's another synchronicity because the Huberman with the chess dude they were literally talking about that. He was talking about like the adrenaline spikes that hit when he's playing chess and how it like literally slows everything. Or when because he also does jujitsu. I think he like became a champion in that as well. And like how certain things like spike that adrenaline, how it literally to him will look like it's in slow motion. And him and Huberman were discussing if there's a way to like naturally be able to activate that adrenaline. You like if like they want to like they're trying to like do studies now with scientists to see if like there's something that you can do like or some kind of trigger that you can pull to like get that adrenaline response. And I'm like, that's
Interesting.
crazy. That would be awesome.
Yeah. It's probably different than actually getting the adrenaline to like react on command. But he does.
Right.
Huberman does have this thing. He calls it like deep breath rest or something like that, where it's like it's the equivalent of getting like an afternoon nap without actually napping. And it's like a certain way to breathe. And I wish I remembered exactly. I think it's something along the lines of, and don't quote me, it's like an inhale, like a pretty intense inhale for 4. So, and then like once you inhale for 4, pretty much as much air as you can suck in till you can't suck in anymore. And then you get a little bit more in, and then you hold it for maybe 4, and then you breathe out for 6. And you do it through like thinly pursed lips, as if,
I have
and then
heard of
as
this.
if you're like blowing out a birthday cake or something like that. And the thing I always crack up at Huberman because it's like I feel like I'll be doing something good for myself, and then Huberman will get a hold of it, and he'll add so much specifics to it,
Yeah,
and I'll be
he
like,
does that.
"Fuck, man!" Like what example? Like cold showers. I'm like, okay, I heard somewhere that like cold exposure is good, so I'll take I'll end my shower with like 60 minutes of cold water. And then Huberman would be like, well, specifically, you have to take it to 36.4 degrees. And then after 30 seconds, you get out, you induce shiver, and then you get back in for 25 seconds, and then you get out. And he's like, I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying. But Huberman comes and he fucks it all up.
He does, man. Like, Huberman's like so smart that like sometimes like he can't help himself. Like he gets in the way of like I think that's what the chess dude was really good at. Like he was clearly intelligent, you know what I mean? Like you could tell he was smart as hell, and he had a great way of speaking where it was like dumbed down to like a normal person with a normal brain could understand a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think Huberman was like, I could tell he had like a shit-eating grin on his face the whole episode because it was like he was taking mental notes. He was like, this guy's good. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. He and then sometimes like on his podcast, he'll give you like things you can apply to your life, and then he'll do like little segments for the aficionados who really want to know what's going on, and then he'll drop all the brain terms and actual biology terms. I'm like, you're so smart.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. Like those guys are geniuses. But I think in general, I think his podcast does a lot of good for people. It's definitely helped my girlfriend a lot with, wrestling with like different grief things and all that stuff. So I'm all for anything that's like pushing positivity and learning about yourself and understanding, the human condition and everything like that. So yeah, I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was watching the one with his dad was pretty good. I thought that was a pretty good episode to watch because it was interesting to see like an older version of him, Yeah. And I think his dad's from like Hungary or something like that, or like I can't remember exactly, but he had like this thick accent, like this thick European accent, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I remember hearing about that one. I don't think I listened to the whole one, but yeah, there's been a number of Andrew Huberman Lab podcasts that I've gotten a lot out of.
Yeah.
But speaking of podcasts, another recommendation. It's actually it's not a recommendation. It's a pet peeve of another podcaster. So Rogan, I would consider myself a fan, but there are things he does that like bug the shit out of me. And one of them is when he talks about Adderall or when he talks about hip hop music. Let me get this out of the way.
It's the worst.
He'll anytime hip hop comes up, he'll hop in as if he's some huge fan.
Yep.
But he always says the same fucking thing. He always goes, Nas did a song backwards. And just like, Yes, Nas did the song Rewind where he tells the story backwards. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
But like he gives you nothing more than
No.
that, and he talks about it like he's some goddamn authority
I
on
know,
it.
he
Just like,
definitely does. And
God damn
it
it.
drives me nuts. I can't stand when he talks about hip hop.
I know. And then Adderall, like there was an episode with two guys recently, and Rogan must have brought up Adderall 6 times in the like hour and a half that I listened to it. And the thing is, he's never done it.
Really?
He always talks about how he's never taken Adderall, how he's like afraid to take Adderall. It was the episode 2297 with Francis Foster and Constantine Kaizen.
Okay.
And it says Francis Foster is a stand-up comic, and then Constantine is a political commentator and author of whatever. That part doesn't matter. But yeah, after a while, like every once in a while, if you bring up Adderall, cool. But it's just like, if you've never done it, and he not only brings it up, but he's always like, some like really intelligent person will come up and he'd be like, oh, well, they're probably on Adderall.
Yeah.
It's like, Adderall's not just some fucking magic wand you take to be smarter. Like,
No.
Not at all. And then he'll be like, when, you know, all this stuff was going on about like Joe Biden and mental decline. And is he okay? Like, and then Rogan always be like, oh, when he does speeches, they probably just give him a ton of Adderall.
They always love to say that about every political candidate.
I know,
Probably all hopped up on Adderall.
I know. Adderall's not just like some magic wand. Like Adderall, like fucking, I used to abuse the shit out of it. It put me in rehab. So like, I wasn't out there giving speeches.
I always felt the same way because I was diagnosed with ADHD in elementary school. And so like I went through the gauntlet of medications that were available at the time: Concerto, Ritalin, Strattera, Adderall, all of the things. And I generally didn't like the way that Adderall made me feel. I almost felt like it was like and now I can, like, because I've done other street drugs at this point in my life, like it feels like a government cocaine or meth to me. Like
100%.
That's like I get that euphoric high from it, like, and I'm definitely outside of my actual person. Like I'm, motor mouthing, like nonstop talking, like, but I don't know. Yeah, Adderall, it's definitely I don't know. I don't think I could do it anymore at this point. Like I think I'm good with no medications at this point.
Yeah, out of curiosity, out of the gauntlet that you took, because I feel like I've taken most of my. I also took Vyvanse, never prescribed, always just abused the hell out of them to get that euphoric feeling. But in terms of ADHD, were there any of them that helped most with symptoms that had like the least amount of side effects in your experience?
I think that they did. Like I feel like the Ritalin or like the Concerta, like it definitely helped like behavioral issues, but it like I would generally be in a terrible mood by the time I'd get home from school because it killed my appetite. So I wouldn't eat my lunch at school. I'd get home and I'd have these massive headaches, and it would lead to a lot of like lack of sleep for me. So I don't know. I never really found one that like made sense for me long term. And I don't know. I haven't, and I definitely don't say that people shouldn't be taking medication. I'm not like against medication. If you need medication, take your medication for sure. But I don't know. It just never like, and I also don't remember why or when I stopped taking medication.
Interesting.
I really don't remember because I know in high school I was prescribed still, but like it gets hazy around like college time. And I don't remember if I just like let a prescription run out and then just never refilled it or what that scenario was. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like maybe it could help, but I've also been on like anti-anxiety medications that have helped and have had weird side effects too. Like
Me too.
I was on one anti-anxiety medication that completely killed my sex drive. So like that was no good. And I feel like I ended up on, I can't even remember the name of it. There was one that I took that like ended up being all right. And I took it and then I started like lowering the dose until I finally got off of it. And I haven't been on any anxiety meds for like probably like 6 months to a year now. So, but I don't know, man. It's weird. The medication game is a strange dance to take or to go down. It just sucks that we're like, it's like, oh, you got to take this, and then that's gonna have side effects, so you got to take this. It's like all this, it's all this shit. So that's why I'm trying to do the inner work on myself, and trying to heal myself with education and stuff, because I feel like the more tools I have to lean on, the less I have to rely on that kind of stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. If medication helps you, totally cool. I have had my bouts with it where I struggled a lot. I think it was early fall of 2020 where I got diagnosed with like a generalized anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like, I don't know. It's such a nothing diagnosis. Like generalized anxiety disorder. What do you mean? I just worry too much?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. So they put me on the Zoloft. And
That's
that
what
was like
Zoloft
fine. It was
killed
like
the sex drive.
Yeah. Then there was like Lexapro. So I think there was 2 total, which, I ramped up. And then some of them like juxtaposed with how anxious I was, like when I first started taking them, I'm like, oh, this is moving the needle. I am feeling less anxious. But then after a prolonged period of time, yeah, the side effects seem to outweigh just being a little anxious all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. And so I've tried to, I use myself as like a human test dummy on like all of the different, like, like I said, I have this functional medicine doctor appointment with my son coming up. And these are all the things that like I've encountered. Some of them I've tried myself, but some of them I've just heard like crazy benefits over. And it's like, okay, so medication we'll say is like one slice of the pie of like a potential solve. But like, listen to all this shit. Fish oil, that helped me tremendously. Magnesium gummies, vitamin D, iodine, affirmations, breathing exercises, exercise, and then tweaks in nutrition, CBD, mushroom complex, methylene blue, testing for allergies, nootropics, supplements, CBT, L-theanine, hyperbaric chamber, hydrogen bath, like all of these thousands of things. It's just like, I don't know. To me, it's worth it to like explore anything like on an individual basis to see like what's gonna lead to your quality of life being optimal.
Definitely. When you're reading that list, I think physical exercise like is beyond and above anything else I've tried for mental health. Like because I used to lean on alcohol if I was having a bad day, something didn't go my favor, I'd go pour a drink or whatever. Now I go for a run or I go for a walk, and I feel like that always brings me mental clarity every single time. Like there's never been a time where I haven't gotten back and been like, I haven't like worked out at some issue, small or big, while I was out there. So definitely physical exercise for me. Physical exercise is mental exercise big time, I think.
100%. 100%. Like I don't miss a day. And the only time I did miss a day over the past like year or two is we went on a vacation to Florida, and like there just wasn't time in the day. Like, but we did go on like walks extended, but like, yeah, I felt it. Like I felt a different, it's like, it's great, but it's like, I'm almost like, man, have I gotten so like dependent on the endorphins that get released through exercise? Have I putting myself in a bad way? But I'm like, no, it's like, I need exercise, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, I feel like it teaches me a lot about myself and life while I'm out there, like especially running, like because like to me, life and running are so paralleled, like because like for me, especially in the first 10 minutes, I want to quit almost every time. Like it's always that first 10 minutes of running that like is really what I have to prove what I'm made out of, because I'm like, this is the struggle. But then I get past that hump and I'm like, all right, I've settled into this cruise now, I'm good. And then you like uphills and downhills when you're on your path will also have you thinking about life. You're like, well, this uphill really sucks right now, but I know on the other side of it is a downhill. And like that will kind of start thinking about life problems and stuff. And like, I don't know. I feel like it all gets sorted out when I'm out there.
Yeah. You feel like a totally different person a lot of times. Like just your brain, like you could look at the exact same situation and it's just night and day. 180-degree turn about how you're responding to that situation.
I feel like I find a lot of those synchronicities at AA meetings too. Like it'll and like your podcast episode, that was like, that set me through the emotional ringer. My girlfriend too, we were listening to it. I was like, oh my God, yeah. And I've had like not that crazy of an experience, but like a lot of the time something that you go through will often be like the topic that gets brought up to start a table by somebody else. And you're like, this is why I'm here today.
Oh man, 100%. I was sitting at a table yesterday actually, and I was in a certain spot. I don't normally sit there, but I was facing this wall. And a lot of times in the rooms, they have certain like slogans put up. And I was just like, things that I've read a billion times, but just given life circumstances, they took on a whole new meaning. It was like, live and let live, easy does it, one day at a time. And I didn't just take them at face value. I like sat there, closed my eyes, and I like savored the meanings of those things. I'm like, how do these apply to my life? It just like live and let live. Like I said, one struggle of mine is, of course, accept what I can't change, but know what I can change and, take some action. But like sometimes the lines get so murky, but the answer can be simple. It's like live and let live, I can only do so much. And if I think I have an idea that's going to help the kid a lot and, on the mom side, they don't stick with it, it's like, I can't force them. I can't force them, and I can only, say my piece and, slap some boundaries in place if needed. But, not everyone's going to do as I say.
Nope.
That's okay.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And yeah, that's it's an important and hard lesson to learn because we all want to have the control on everything, but it's tough to let go of that. But it's necessary. It's necessary for growth.
Totally. Anything else you got?
I think that's pretty much all I got. I could not recommend listening to Dissect Podcast more. Like, I really think it's just one of the most fantastic podcasts out there. Like, Cole Cushna does just such an incredible job of making it not only, dives, like, it always ends up being more about life than just this album. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much packed in because Cole, if you're unfamiliar with it, Cole Cushna was, he was in a band for most of his life, and then he decided to study classical composition in college and like learned how to like compose music basically. And he talked about being so out of his element, like, because all these other people were like accomplished musicians in his class and he was feeling all out of his element. But now he's applied what he learned there to analysis on contemporary music. And so he's just like has these super comprehensive, like awesome breakdowns of this music. And my girlfriend and I will like, one of the favorite activities we do now is we paint together and we listen to that podcast. We'll like put on his thing. We've learned so much about like Kendrick. Now we're on this season about Mac Miller's Swimming. And we'll just like paint and listen to podcasts. And it's like, I enjoy that more than I like watching TV now a lot of the times.
That's cool. One thing I wanted to do, I just had this thought. I've noticed something about you, and I wanted to give you a compliment. You seem very at ease and comfortable right now.
Yeah.
And not that you were like not the past few times we've gotten together the podcast, but it's like there's definitely an increase in just like you seeming just like at ease and comfortable. And I wanted to tell you that.
I appreciate that. I've been working hard on myself, so that it's nice to know that that's translating to how others are seeing me too.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
thank you.
Yeah.
I am. You know what's funny? I kind of wrote in my pages this morning too that I was excited to come here. I'm like, there's something about sitting with Chris that's just really easy. I don't know if it's the 20-year friendship or what, but it's just always a fun time, and I always leave here in a good mood. So maybe that was. I was just generally excited.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too, man. Well, speaking of excitement, I'm excited to have you on in 40 more days and talk about this Stillness Challenge.
Yes, sir.
Super excited for you. We'll check in as we go, but good stuff. Thanks for
Hell yeah,
on,
man. Anytime. I'll come back whenever you want me to.
Hell yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.